So what kind of power can you expect from these simple bolt-on modifications? Opening up the muffler and opening up the air horn on your Echo 4910 or 501. Well, we're going to find out today. Welcome back, everyone. Today we got our 4910 here, and we're going to go over some of the simple do-it-yourself muffler mods, and we're even going to modify that little air filter piece. So what we got is we got the Gearhead CNC bolt-on muffler deflector. We also have the do-it-yourself method, where we just pull out this tube and the screen from the factory muffler, open up the factory deflector, cut out the front of the factory deflector, and bolt it onto your can. But we'll go over all that on the dyno, and we'll even be testing this expansion chamber. This is the one I drew up for the MS-170, and the king of the wild things, Mr. John Cox, wanted one for his Echo 4910 or 501 project. So I finished up my spare one, and this will be going down to the king of the wild things. Hopefully he doesn't put it on that pooling for next year and beat us all. But if he does, at least I know I had a part in it. We'll be testing this expansion chamber, see how it does on the stock saw. So maybe, just maybe, if you want a lot of power, you just bolt your expansion chamber on the stock saw. And we also had Charles Briscoe bring over his stickers, that hot 4910, and we'll be testing this pipe on his saw as well. So we'll take our 4910, put it on the dyno, and we'll start doing these tests. Alright, we'll get our bone stock runs done. Stock muffler, filter, still has the cross in the filter, and we'll see how it acts. Alright, so here's the air filter elbow piece. You can see it has a little cross in there, and we're going to go snip that out and grind it smooth, and we'll see if this gives us any more power. Then we'll go through and we'll test all of our other muffler mods. Alrighty, here is that modified air filter elbow. Took that cross out, smoothed everything up, and we'll get it put back on. Well, let's see how it does. Alright, here's the factory deflector. You can see we pounded these flaps shut. That's all that they breathe through from the factory. And it goes through this little tube here. So you pull out this little tube and notch out, just with a pair of snips, the factory deflector. Pound those tops shut. And you're left with a nice large hole in there. After you take out this tube, you're left with a nice large hole. So we're going to just bolt. We're going to bolt this modified deflector back on, and then we'll bolt on the gearhead piece and see if it makes a difference. Alright, got our gearhead deflector on here, and we'll see how it changes the power output, if any at all. Alright, we'll see how the pipe does with our air filter mod. So I don't know about you, but I think the pipe probably sounded the best. Now these echoes, they do have a little bit of a hiccup in the coil. They don't make the spark way up high in the RPM. You can see that when we look at Charles' graph, and you can see that on the pipe. But let me know what you think. Would you run a pipe like this on your 50cc firewood saw? Would you try and make firewood with it, or just for fun? But we'll go over the results. But before we take a look at the results, like I said, these are just simple, easy to do, a muffler mod, and opening up that air filter. Now it does look like this 4910 came out swinging. It's a little bit better performing than most of the other ones we've seen in. But that's why we do the tests. All the same saw all the way through. And so we'll take a look at the graph and go over the results of our modifications here. So here's our results. This is a lot of lines on one page. But down here we had the bone stock 4910 as it came in. Like I said, this one's a little bit hotter than most. We got 3.64 horse, 2.55 foot-pounds. That's the pair of yellow lines here on the graph. And then we did our air filter modification. Opening up that air horn, we got 3.88 horse, 2.67 foot-pounds. Then we went to our simple muffler mod, 4.04 horse, 2.86 foot-pounds. Then we put the gear head cover, 4.13 horse, 2.86 foot-pounds. A little bit larger outlet, same torque, just a smidge more power. And like I said, those are both super similar. So if you like the bling, the gear head's definitely the option. Then we put our pipe on. These green lines right here is the pipe on the stock saw. 5.07 horse, 2.85 foot-pounds. You could see, definitely pulled the power higher up in the RPM, which is what pipe will do, and made it hit super hard. We're a full horse higher on pipe than any of these other on a bone stock saw. And right here, this run is just one of the 4910 runs, our typical work saw. You can see it makes all sorts of more torque and horsepower. A full, over one full horse and not far from one full foot-pound above our simple modifications. So you can see these 4910s really just, they wake up super nice from porting. And now we'll take a look at this pipe on Charles Briscoe's really hot ported 4910 and see what kind of power this pipe makes on a sporty ported saw. So here's what we have. We got Charles Briscoe sticker. We got the Charles Briscoe stickers ported 4910, 6.2 horse, 3.63, which, like I said, that's a healthy bit above our normal work saw. You can see making the power a bit higher in the RPM, holding a little bit better RPM. So Charles's push saw definitely makes more power and higher in the RPM. Then we threw that pipe on the sticker saw, and it was trying to get on pipe, make power, because that pipe's a high-end pipe. But you could see these echoes, they just don't let us make power at high RPM. You can see both of them drop like a rock at about this 12,500. And that's where the ignition coil starts to pull timing and kill the power. That way you're not making super high power at high RPM for the longevity of the saw. But that does not do us any good if we want to make lots of high RPM power to make a fast race saw. 4910, super strong. It'll still cut super fast. There's all sorts of power up here, especially compared to stock. Stock would be way down here. But that ignition coil does not let us build a pipe to really spin out and use that high RPM power. So that's why I'm stepping away from this Echo chassis to try and build any racers. I've got a couple 346s that I'm going to build up as race saws, along with the little Johnson Red that I'm going to build as a one-piece. Along with that little Johnson Red, that'll be a one-piece saw. There'll be no head on that one. So we got a couple other chassis for race saws, and we'll see And with those race saws, we know that we need to be at or above this type of power level to even think about competing. So thanks a lot, Charles, for stopping by. So now we got some baseline numbers of bare minimum for a fast 50cc 3-cube type saw. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and those are some nice simple modifications you can do if you have a 4910, 490, or a 501. So until next time, thanks a lot, everyone.